Welcome to One-on-One, the show dedicated to business and the entrepreneurs and leaders that start, run, and own the innovative and interesting companies in our area. I'm your host, Alex Ruggieri. Today, my guest is Laura Frerichs. Laura is the Associate Director of the Research Park and Incubation Facilities at the University of Illinois. She is responsible for managing incubation services at Enterprise Works, marketing the Research Park, and supporting the university's economic development efforts. Laura is a graduate of the University of Illinois College of Communications and served as student body president at the Urbana-Champaign campus. Laura was also named Woman of the Year by Central Illinois Business Magazine for the 40 Under 40 Business Award Series. Laura and her husband, State Senator Mike Frerichs, live in Champaign, and they are the proud parents of one-year-old daughter, Ella. Stay with us. We'll be right back to talk with Laura Frerichs. We're back. Hi, I'm Alex Ruggieri, and today my guest in the studio, Laura Frerichs. Welcome.
Great to see you, Alex. Thanks for having me.
You bet. I've been looking forward to this. One of the things I always like to try and do is start out with an easy question, and it's one that I hope you can answer. Tell us where you're from.
So I grew up in California when I was little, and then we moved a lot and ended up in Barrington, which is a suburb of Chicago,
Sure.
which then led me to the University of Illinois, like many suburban kids. And I went here, and after I graduated, wanted to go to Chicago, like many. But it claimed me back, and so I came back to Champaign-Urbana at the urging of my now husband, who was running for office and loved the area. And I moved here about 8 years ago and have just really loved being a part of this community and having our family here.
Wow. Well, you know, I'd love to get into the story about how you met Mike, but I heard you say that he was already running for office when you met him?
He was. Ever since I met him in 1999, I'll say I was a student. I was quite political at the time, and he wanted me to help volunteer on the campaign. That didn't happen, but after that election, we started talking politics and ended up dating long distance for years.
Wow, neat. Well, yeah, it sounded like that. For reading your bio, it said that you were student body president at the U of I when you were a student. How did that happen?
So I was running for office before he was, technically.
Incredible. Incredible. I mean, we've all heard of running for student body president on a high school level, but that must have been a whole different level at the U of I. How did that all happen?
It was an incredible experience and included many different student groups that I got to work with. I actually had a very good time to be president for the students because both Vice President Al Gore came and President Clinton the year I was in that position, which meant that I got to have introductions to both of them. I introduced Al Gore when he came to visit to talk about education and about student aid. And then the Clinton visit, as you may recall, was quite animated when that occurred in the 90s.
Yes, I remember.
Because of a certain Monica Lewinsky incident,
Yes.
which is a funny tale that I won't go into details on. But I'll say I was removed as the introductory speaker, but still got to meet him.
Oh, okay. Wow. Isn't that interesting, the ramifications of all of that?
Yeah.
Boy, they just kind of ripple through. Wow, that's incredible. Well, it makes me curious about when you were growing up, because it sounds like, and one of the reasons, and I've told you this, the reason that I wanted to have you on the show is because I think you represent an outstanding leader, period, an outstanding business person and business leader, but also an outstanding woman leader, which I think is a great example for our young people. And I thought, when did all this happen? What were the seeds of all this? It must have happened very early in life if you were already running for student body president, or what?
Just a normal kid who was actually quite shy, so
Yeah.
I don't know about any of that or being a leader to others, but you know, I think it's just one thing at a time. As I said, I was pretty shy actually growing up, and I did debate and I did theater, and that was a really great experience in high school and middle school that got me
Sure.
over my stage fright and talking with others and comfortable in front of an audience.
Sure.
And from there, sort of took my interest in politics and applied it when I was at the University of Illinois and had the chance to represent the students, which at a university I obviously am still very enthusiastically marketing and celebrating in my current career, but it was a great experience that is one of the most valued things I've ever done.
Well, and then most recently being named Woman of the Year, CIB Magazine. Tell us about that.
So yeah, that was also quite unexpected, I guess. Laura Huth nominated me, and she had won
on my part when I saw it, but
she had won the year before, and I was thrilled that she nominated me, and just very humbled by the experience. I've done a lot on working in the tech sector, bringing in companies to the research park, and I think that played into that award, I guess, but certainly was inspired by the other winners within the 40 under 40 last year, as well as the most recent 40 that were awarded, because there's so many talented people in our community that are pretty young professionals that are doing amazing things in all different sectors, whether that's for the university, business, within healthcare in our community, which is a big sector, insurance, and other segments as well.
Yeah, and I want to, just plug the News Gazette and CIB Magazine for even doing that, because it's long overdue to shine a light on the good things that our young people are doing. Sometimes the young people get a bad rap, and we only see the things on TV that they're doing wrong, and there's so many more of them that are doing great things. And so I have to compliment them.
It's really great that the News Gazette and Central Illinois Business Magazine, as well as yourself for doing this show, have highlighted many of the technology entrepreneurs in the community. So thank you for showing off leaders and all you do to promote the business community.
Oh, well, thank you. And as long as we're thanking people, I'll thank the station for letting us do it, because they do Kobe and those guys is great. It makes me think, too, also a little bit about your parents. What were they like, and what did they teach you that kind of stuck with you, that's helped you, in terms of your leadership in your career?
Well, they're both very hard workers, are passionate about what they do. My dad worked in regulatory policy for the phone company.
Oh, wow.
That is what moved us around. People always asked if he was in the military, since we moved every year or two, but I would say very plainly that he worked for the phone company, and he did government relations and regulatory work for them, which maybe gave me a little spark of where my interest might have been in that. And also in just working really hard in business. He would be traveling every week and would work very late at night. Was interested in new technology always, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so different than my career path, I'll say, but she's somebody that I certainly admire, and
I think that's
is very smart herself.
That may be one of the reasons why you are who you are, is because you had a stay-at-home mom. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. But were there any things that you can share with young people or anyone about leadership that you've learned along the way?
Well, certainly I think that you just have to put yourself out there sometimes, and that you can't do it unless you try. And there's discussion sometimes in the university about teaching leadership, and I think a lot of it is just doing. And sometimes you've got to take the risks and push yourself to do things that are maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but also see the vision. There's a quote I like from Danielle Burnham, "Make no small plans, they have no magic to stir men's blood." And I always like that
quote.
You should strive to do big. And I think it's important to always have mentors and to have those that push you in the right direction, to move you forward and challenge you. And I think reciprocally that you should then try to strive to bring others along with you. And it's been a pleasure in the work that I've done that I've always had the chance to work with students, both in advertising, where I would have young student interns or train our new incoming folks that would come to the agency, to now where I get the chance to work with the 300 plus students that work in the research park, as well as our own interns, and try to mentor them as best as I can, and the new entrepreneurs coming in, to try to give them some advice from the other companies that are within our research park.
300 students working over there?
We do. It's something we're quite proud of, that a third of our workforce is students, and they really play an amazing role for the companies, both in being a more cost-efficient resource, but also a future workforce pipeline for those companies. And it's a wonderful opportunity for the students to get a hands-on learning experience while they're in school, in addition to what they're learning in the classroom. Whether they're working for a startup or a large company, it's an amazing experience.
Wow, that's incredible. I didn't realize that, but I can see that. And what a fantastic opportunity for them as students. Well, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the park. I want to talk about Enterprise Works, all the initiatives going on, some of the really neat things going on with the companies. Maybe we have to, believe it or not, take a break, but maybe after the break we can talk about that?
Sounds great.
Okay. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
I'm Doug Wilson from Trading Spaces and Moving Up. You're watching One-on-One with Alex Ruggieri.
We're back. You're watching One on One. Thanks for staying with us. My guest today, Laura Frerichs. Laura, just before the break, we were talking about the park. And when I refer to the park, we're talking about South Farms Research Park, Enterprise Works, and all of the other institutions and groups that are doing such fantastic things down there. And you seem to be like in the center of it all. So maybe you can tell us and fill us in. I mean, there's great stuff going on down there, and maybe you can help us learn a little bit more about that.
It's a really fascinating place to have the chance to work inside of, because we have about 90 companies, 97 tenants overall in the research park, over 12 buildings that have now been constructed there, and it's a really good mix of large corporations that have chosen to locate in Champaign to engage with the university, as well as small startups. There have been nearly 100 startup companies that have gone through the incubator program since it opened in the research park,
wow,
which is an impressive pipeline of entrepreneurship from the University of Illinois and community with different technologies that are being commercialized in that setting.
Wow, that's incredible. I didn't realize there was quite that many. I've heard of many of them, but 100, that's impressive. And some of them have gone on to be in industry all by themselves after being incubated. And that's, maybe we can talk a little bit about that too. But tell us about some of the companies that you've had experience with.
Well, as I said, there's a whole mix, and so I've worked on bringing in companies over the last 6.5 years, roughly. We've doubled the number of companies from when I started working on the research park, so that's about 50 that I've had relationships with, and certainly feel a sense of pride in working with them because their stories are just amazing and impress me all the time. And I feel so fortunate to work with so many smart and talented innovators in the research park. From companies like Yahoo that chose to open up an operation here and employ folks that are doing all kinds of analytics and cloud computing, to State Farm that employs more students than any other operation with about 90 students a semester, which is always just a remarkable figure to me, that they've employed students in everything from communications to mechanical engineering to software to market research, and all the sort of unexpected areas that they've been able to tap students to help them within their enterprise. And companies like Caterpillar that are quite focused and work on mechanical engineering, using students to help them with simulation and modeling that can advance their equipment design and respond to operations around the world. But of course, the entrepreneurs is really some of the fascinating stuff that people always want to learn more about. So we've got companies like Nuvixa that has a new technology using sensors to embed people's images within a digital setting with a virtual green screen kind of effect. And we've got companies in the biotech space like Immuven that's working on T-cell receptors to prevent staph infections and hopefully help treat cancer as well in the future. And then there are student startups in our building doing everything from social entrepreneurship kinds of missions like improving wheelchairs or prosthetic devices, to a company like Mirror.me right now that's profiled 4.5 million Twitter users and can tell them about a personal reflection of what their social media behavior says about them. All sort of the great ideas of our University of Illinois community.
Wow, that's incredible. So what's the process? Is this something that is fed by the university, I would think, to a degree, students and professors, or is it also somebody just from outside the university who has a great idea? What's the process and how does it work if they want to be involved with the park?
So the research park overall can serve a pretty broad technology and research and development community. That's really our criteria that they be there, with some other support resources as well. So we've got the hotel and the daycare and the restaurant and some service providers that help support the tech industry. But for the most part, these are companies that have engaged with the university in some capacity or coming out of the university in some manner. For our incubator clients, more than 50% of them have a professor or faculty member as a founder. About 25% of them have a student or a young alumni that's a founder of the company. And then the remainder come from other relationships that may exist, whether Illinois Ventures as a funding partner has helped bring them to the community, or they're a spin out of another company in the research park, which we've had entrepreneurs inside of Caterpillar or SAIC that are just waiting to launch their new idea, and located in that entrepreneurial setting sort of motivates them to start their new business. But most of our large companies are coming to the university because they want this workforce that's here in Champaign, with many software developers that are very attractive, as well as the top research we have at the university.
Wow, that's incredible. I know, just to touch on some of there was one presentation that I saw, and the fella it was some kind of a device that was about the size of a cell phone, and it was able to determine, I guess, sniff in the air certain organics, and it was going to replace a machine that was about as big as this table and cost $150,000, and they were going to be able to walk around with a cell phone and do first responder type, you know, like if there was a terrorist attack, you could go and sniff the air and determine what was just this.
So Cibana Laboratories.
Cibana, that's it. I couldn't remember.
Which is in the incubator,
Right.
and it was founded by two University of Illinois professors, Mark Shannon and Rich Maisel.
Yes.
They've made quite a lot of progress. They've had a joint development agreement with GE, which is quite impressive.
Wow.
That GE turns to one of our startups to create this technology that they're not able to do otherwise. And they've been successfully innovating and making sensors that are able to do this detection at a small, affordable device that will really be a game-changing type of technology.
Yeah, and he was telling me that there's different modules they can put in there, and something really as miraculous as, he said it was even more sensitive than a hound dog, okay, which we know has the best sniffer around, right, in the animal kingdom, but could even, like, you could breathe on it, not like a breathalyzer for alcohol, but it could tell you if you had cancer based on whether it detected certain molecules in your breath.
And that's Ken Suslick, another chemistry professor's technology, a slightly different version of sensors, smelling sensors.
Yeah.
And he's, Dr. Suslick's had two companies that are related to that, iSense and ChemSensing, that have both worked on this type of technology, that have both incubated it here in Champaign. And I'll say it's an example of some of the areas that maybe people don't even think about as being entrepreneurial at the university. Certainly, I think people would recognize in this town that engineering, software, electrical engineering are strong points, as well as agriculture, but chemical sciences has been a really strong area of entrepreneurial development, with lots of startup companies coming from that space.
Well, you know, it reminds me of when I was a kid, you know, growing up watching Star Trek, and he had the tricorder, and you just, you know, and yet we're getting kind of close to having technology, and all of this is going on right here, you know, on our campus. Well, it's great stuff, and I want to talk more about it, but believe it or not, it's time for our second break. So maybe when we come back, we can talk about the future of the park.
Sounds great.
Can we do that?
Thanks,
Great.
Alex.
We're talking with Laura Frerichs. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. We're back. We're talking with Laura Frerichs and just having a fascinating discussion about the research park, the U of I, Enterprise Works, and what's the difference? I mean, Enterprise Works is on the South Campus, and I mean, is there any difference, or is it just the bigger companies that have buildings of their own and the little companies that are in Enterprise Works and all of that?
So Enterprise Works is the incubator in the middle of the research park, so all the rest of the buildings surround it.
Okay.
It's for the earliest stage companies, so usually those are U of I inventors and entrepreneurs that are starting companies that can stay there for about 3 to 5 years is generally how long they're in the incubator, and then we hope to graduate them into the research park and community afterwards. The rest of the research park serves a mixture of companies, the large companies as well as other smaller companies that are a bit more mature than they would be in the incubator setting, including some of our graduate companies that have grown from the incubator to the research park setting. And the rest of the research park is done in collaboration with Fox Atkins Development, our development partner for the University of Illinois. In that arrangement, the university continues to have the land. They lease it to the developer, so that becomes an income source that helps support the rest of the research park activities. That's really helped the university continue its development forward, and we hope so in the next 10 years as well, as we're working on finalizing an agreement with them for the future.
So they're going to be involved for the next foreseeable future.
It's not quite done yet, Alex, but I think I can say pretty confidently that we're working in that direction, and it should be finished soon.
Well.
But that will help us to not have to spend university resources for construction of new buildings, but to have this partnership with the private sector. Both Clinton Atkins and Peter Fox have personally put in a lot of effort and time and financial resources to make our research park possible on otherwise would have been prairie or agricultural property.
You know, while we're thanking people people as we started out the show. Let's thank them for their initiative, for their willingness to invest and set us on this course, because it's just been a wonderful thing for all of us in the community and in the university community as well. And it's something that we have now that we can point to with pride. And the future, what does the future look like, do you think?
Well, I certainly hope it's quite different than where we were 10 years ago on the land that we'll be going into. We talked a little bit about when I was a student here in the 90s, and none of this existed.
Well, they had the technology commercialization lab, which was like a
pole barn.
Pole barn.
A little bit different incubator setting. And at that time, there were fish ponds and there were pigs wandering around in the area. We still have some pigs across First Street, and so that's part of our next area of development is another 100 acres, and that's phase 4 of the research park that will extend from St. Mary's to Windsor Road. 4th Street will be extended, and that will be a large area for new development, which we hope to have many mixed uses, but mostly the core research and technology operations with different buildings to serve companies on an ongoing basis. And then also perhaps some retail or even potentially residential component of that may be considered as a multi-use zone.
Wow, that's going to be so exciting. I just can't wait to see all that. 10 years goes by just like that, it seems like. And the enterprise works. I was thinking when you were explaining about them moving out, it's just the opposite of most landlords. Most landlords, when you get a tenant, if you're a good landlord, you work real hard to keep them.
Right.
In your
and
case,
we work real hard to graduate them and make sure they're successful.
Right.
So.
And send them on their way, almost like little fledglings out of the nest, and yet, you're going to be proud to watch them fly on their own and all that good stuff. Well, I can't thank you enough for being here. I can't, compliment you enough for, and everybody involved at the University of Illinois and Fox Atkins and everything else with the initiative that's going on out there. And I just want to wish you continued success and keep doing what you're doing. And I think personally that it's these kinds of initiatives that are going to lead this country into everybody's looking for the next big thing. The next big thing is a whole lot of little things.
Little small things, yes.
Right, a whole lot of small things. And I think that's the right emphasis, and these little companies and what they're doing are going to change the world for all of us. It's going to be really great. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Alex.
Appreciate it. Maybe you'll come back in a year and fill us in.
More innovative ideas to come, I'm sure.
That'd be great. Thanks for joining us today.
It's going to be an expensive repair bill. What I love about US Fidelis is the fact that I don't have to come out of my pocket with a lump sum of money right off the bat for a major repair, which a lot of times nowadays the major repairs are $1,000, $2,000. It's during rush hour, people are stranded on the road, and you got cars whizzing by. Well, worst case scenario is the woman that is stranded with her kids on a desolate road. And if she's got the vehicle service coverage, they'll have somebody there right away. The time to call US Fidelis is now, before something goes wrong with your car. It saved me $1,800 out of my pocket expense for my repair bill. The people at US Fidelis are good people, and they're going to take very good care of you.
Really? That's all the course? That's outstanding. Thank you very much.
We're ready for that final shot.
I just called US Fidelis, and they put together a customized plan for me. Even my chauffeur could afford it.
That's right. Your mom called. She said she'll be picking you up at 6 o'clock.
Shh. Okay, folks, let's wrap this up.
If you haven't called US Fidelis yet, ask yourself, why not?
With vehicle service coverage purchased through US Fidelis, expensive repair bills can become a thing of the past, giving you the peace of mind you're looking for.
The phone call is free, and it just takes a few minutes to give you a customized quote that's perfect for your vehicle and your budget.
Remember, the time to call US Fidelis is before something goes wrong with your car, so don't put it off. Give US Fidelis a call right now.
And cut! Print it. That's a wrap. Great job, everybody.
As a stay-at-home mom, our family is living on one income, and we can't afford to throw away money on car repairs. I depend on my car to drive my kids around to school and back, to practices and back, doctor's appointments and back. If I cannot fix my car because I cannot afford the repairs, then I'm stuck. 2 weeks after the coverage went into effect, I had the transmission go out. Of course, they fixed it quickly. It wasn't too long after that, a transfer case went out. They did the same with that. US Fidelis has saved me over $4,000. I really appreciate the roadside assistance. I feel safe. I know if something does happen, that I can pick up the phone and call. Someone will be there, and they will be on their way to help me. US Fidelis is awesome. It seemed too good to be true, but when I finally had a breakdown, they came through, just like their commercial says.
You need to get the groceries home, but your car won't start. It could be the alternator. That's $825. You're backing out of your driveway and you can't turn the wheel. That could be a problem with the steering. That's over $1,300 to fix. Looks like your transmission just went out. And you're stranded out of state. That's $2,400 plus towing and a rental car and a motel room.
If you drive a car, it's not if your car will break down, it's when. And even the simplest repairs can cost $500, $1,000 or more, and leave you stranded without a car.
But with vehicle service coverage purchased through US Fidelis, when breakdowns happen, your repair bills can be reduced to a simple $100 deductible, $50 deductible, or even nothing. Vehicle service coverage available through US Fidelis lets you choose from over 400,000 ASE certified mechanics to fix your car, truck, or SUV. And big repair bills become a thing of the past.
Thanks to US Fidelis, I've saved over $500 on my auto repairs.
Several repairs have been made on my car, and I have saved thousands of dollars so far.
And thanks to US Fidelis, I saved over $3,000 on car repairs.
Call now for your free 5-minute quote and let US Fidelis customize a vehicle service coverage policy just for you.
US Fidelis selects from dozens of plans to find you the best policy with the best coverage at the best price. New and used cars, trucks, SUVs, and hybrids in good running shape can all be covered.
US Fidelis offers money-saving plans from national providers that can include valuable benefits like roadside assistance, towing, rental car, and trip interruption protection. Coverage can even be transferred when you sell your car.
Call now and see just how affordable this protection can be. The cost of covering most vehicles comes to about 2.5 cents a mile. 2.5 cents for the kind of peace of mind you can only get from a company like US Fidelis. Plus, getting started with US Fidelis is easy, with no vehicle inspection and no credit check required. The call is free and there's no obligation.
Best of all, US Fidelis backs every policy with their first 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not satisfied, simply cancel during the first 30 days of your coverage, and US Fidelis will refund your money, guaranteed.
I am so grateful that I called US Fidelis. It was one of the smartest things I've ever done.
Now's the time to call for your free 5-minute custom quote. Call US Fidelis at 1-800-320-4514 and see for yourself how they find you the best coverage at the best price. The call is free and there's no obligation. That's 1-800-320-4514. 1-800-320-4514. Call the toll-free number now.
When you call US Fidelis, you're going to have peace of mind knowing that you're covered.
I would wholeheartedly recommend US Fidelis to any one of my friends and family members simply because I've had nothing but, perfect experiences with them.
Thanks to US Fidelis, our repairs were taken care of and we were back on the road.
US Fidelis is awesome.
The preceding was a paid advertisement for vehicle service coverage available through US Fidelis.